Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Ivo Robotnik here, and welcome back to episode 6 of Exo Plays Star Fox Zero. And I have a very special guest with me today, because I've run out of things to say in this second chunk of the playthrough. Please introduce yourself, kind sir.
I feel like giving myself a promotion. I finally did it. I tried that before. I basically just spat and coughed because I couldn't do it. I think that might be the first time in my entire life I've actually managed to do an impression of that line. So yeah, this sector is pretty cool. It's like a black hole inside a space cloud. I don't know how this thing could have formed or what, but yeah, it's a pretty neat level. I think it's harkening both to Area 6 from Star Fox 64, because it has a lot of the same kind of ships towards the end, but it also has elements of like Meteor Herd and other spacey levels that we've seen before. It's just
Meteor Herd? Featuring UK Garage.
Not Meteor Herd, Meteo, silly me. Yeah, thanks for remembering that. Man, this level is awesome. It's only 2 minutes long, it's super short, but it is 2 incredibly stressful, heart-pounding minutes. Trying to make it through this entire sequence without getting hit is pretty tough. Most of it, not so much. Just not getting hit by the enemies is easy enough. But there are 2 choke points. The meteors you're about to hit, and some blocks at the very, very end. Those are the 2 most stressful points in the level. But it's pretty cool stage.
So, Nick, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I don't know if anyone knows this, but I kind of like Star Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, this part's pretty cool. I don't know why they suddenly jet out and stop. It's almost like Andross prepared all of these traps just to slow you down. Like, they try to make it look like this is just a bunch of stuff laying around, a bunch of gangs just hanging out here, but no, it's basically this game's equivalent of Area 6 from Star Fox 64, except it's just a lot more chaotic, has a lot more...
Venom Orbit.
It's a lot more random. You can see Venom in the distance, and... I don't know, it's a lot of really cool set pieces. There's a ton of enemies, but most of them go down in like 1 hit. So it's not too hard, it's just super fast paced. It's like it's just set piece after set piece. It's the ultimate condensed Star Fox experience.
Yeah, this part right here definitely reminds me of the SNES game. This is a set piece right out of that game.
Yeah, they did it in 64 too in one of the warp zones. It's just something that they keep bringing back. Kind of surprised we didn't see some like this in Assault. Yeah, look at these things. They barely take 1 hit to take down. I love the sounds they make.
Area 6.
This part, if I don't get hit by the meteors at the start, I always get hit here, because there's 1 choke point that's a little different every time. It never stops in the same place. So, oh jeez. Yeah, the gamepad is very beneficial here.
Yeah, so I guess what I meant when I asked what's your name and what do you do around these parts, sir?
Oh, well, my name is Nick.
Yep. And what do you do on YouTube?
Oh, I look at video games and toys. That's basically it. Okay, one thing about this boss, I know this boss pisses a lot of people off. I don't think it's that bad in terms of gameplay, but one thing that does piss me off a little bit is his voice. My word, his voice in the 64 was nothing like the way he sounds here. In that one, he sounded like some warrior who actually had clout. Like some guy who had been a general back in the day and won all these battles with his massive ship, and Andross called him out for this galaxy-wide invasion. And he's like, someone wants to play. And then here, he sounds so much younger. He sounds like just some guy who's on a power trip because Andross handed all this stuff to him, and now he suddenly thinks he's all that, even though this is his first fight. That's the only thing about this boss that bugs me is, the character of it. But in terms of ways to beat
I just like that they brought it back, because this is actually the very first boss from the SNES game.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they keep another thing they keep bringing back.
Yeah, I was just like, he didn't show up in Cornerian at all, because that's where he shows up in SNES and 64. And then, you don't see him in this game, and then, all of a sudden Venom disappears, and you come out on the other side of the portal, and then this guy is just there, and it's just like, you're not going anywhere, and then you fight him, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool set piece. And I know
he had a few new things to his boss, too, so it's...
I
It's
know
at least a
some
little
people
different.
may think it's strange that they're bringing back what's usually the first boss in this one. Like, how could this
I
possibly
think
be
it
challenging
works.
at this point in the game? But they do manage to give it a few new tricks that make it pretty tough, and it's much bigger, and it takes a lot more hits. Like, okay, there's a couple ways to take down this boss. You could wait for the hatches to open up and then hit the usual glowy spots that don't take that many hits. Or you could take down the support beams that are holding the things together. Now, those support beams do take a ton of hits. So I usually save up a few bombs until this point in the level and just blast all of them at once with a bomb, because the blasts
I made the mistake. I thought that because like in every other ship in the game you can stand on, but not that one. I guess like you can stand on Aqua Rosa.
Well, the walker in on does the same thing. But yeah, if you shoot a bomb right between the beams on his right side, they'll like take down all 4 of them at once, and it'll even damage the ones on the other side a little bit. So that's a good way not only to take down the boss really fast if you don't want to wait for the hatches to open, but it'll also get you some extra hits. So that's always nice.
That's pretty neat. And I guess this is one boss, or I guess because we talked about this a little on the podcast, and I don't know if it'll have been uploaded on at this point, but in the old games you'd pretty much have to stand in the line of fire to keep shooting at things. So
yeah,
this is an example of like I'm not doing it very well because this is still my first playthrough, but conceivably I could keep aiming at the opening and like see the ships aren't coming anywhere near me.
I do think it's neat how, like, when it's facing you, it's sort of like the 2 ships get locked together and you don't have to worry about crashing into it. It's almost like he's got some kind of, I don't know, tractor beam that's holding you where he wants you, but it also makes it easier for you to fight back. Still releases lots of enemies and stuff, like in 64. He also releases those glowy rings, the kind of thing you'd expect an asteroid to spit out. I noticed here, his ship is actually backing away from yours.
The energy Cheerios were actually in the original game as well. Like, I think one of the final bosses in level 2, the second pathway, like, has a lot of those energy Cheerios.
One thing I will say I love about this is it is perfectly designed for space combat because of all the rockets on it that can help it turn around. Because here's the thing, wings do not do shit in space, only thrust does. So that's why it's so smart that this thing has all these rockets, even on the front, that it can use to back away from you a little bit. That is such a smart
nice
design.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, and it works especially well for such a big ship. You need rockets on all sides to be able to turn it around. Like, that's why the Enterprise, as cool and iconic as it is, it's actually kind of a shitty design because they had to build it in space, because if they ever brought it down to the surface of a planet, gravity would make the engine snap off. That's why they have to, like, beam down to every planet they go to, is because a ship isn't strong enough to withstand gravity. It's only good for space.
So I gather from your commentary so far, Nick, that you happen to enjoy Star Fox Zero?
No. This game's a piece of fucking shit. No, I love this game. It's right up there with 64 for me. Like, it's about the same, really. Like, there are some ways in which it's better, and then some ways in which, yeah, I can see that the old game is a little cleaner or whatever. But I think it evens out to where, like, it is about as good, if not even better. Like, there is so much more you can do in this game that you can't do in any other Star Fox game. It makes you feel kind of OP'd. Like, oh man, a lot of these enemies perform the same way they do in other games. Well, maybe they're a little bit faster, but still, they can't do half of the stuff that I'm doing. Here's the second phase of the boss.
Yep, and this is, I wasn't totally expecting it, but I do get through it on my, I don't know, like, I did die earlier because I thought I could try using the walk, because, like, most of the other bosses you could stand, like, even with the walker on
well, okay, this is your first fight, your first try against something new and unexpected.
Yeah.
And you did pretty good taking down that first weak spot. Yeah, this is the part that gets a lot of people stuck. This is the point where a lot of people just give up on this boss. It's like, I don't like this boss that was so quick and simple in 64, it takes so much longer to take down now. Here's the
See,
thing.
like, I haven't been keeping track of people saying that stuff, and now I'm hearing it, and I'm just like, really?
Here's the thing. Like,
People say that about this boss?
With this boss, yeah, I mean, with this phase, yeah, the idea is for you to shoot the weak spots as it's spinning around and, you know, get as many hits in as you can. But when it stops, it's like 10 seconds where it's just floating there before the sights close up. And the idea is for you to fly alongside it and shoot it basically sideways and try to get a few more hits in. A lot of the bosses in this game are designed that way they expect you to take advantage of the motion controls and try to, you know, find new ways to attack. And that's just one of many examples.
Yeah, I guess when I was playing this, I still kind of had that
older
mentality of, like, I've got to kind of point myself at it.
Right
like,
then.
I could have hit it there if I wanted.
Yeah, for 2 seconds, you had a perfect opportunity to, like, hit your brakes and shoot it a bunch. But that's okay, you're doing pretty swell. Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't...
Yeah, like, look, you see
I thought
the
this
rocket
was
on
a
the
nice...
one side. You see that one rocket on its right that's pushing it around? That's so smart. It's just a little bitty rocket you see on the ship, and it stops.
Sending you a bunch of shit on Skype, too.
Huh?
I can hear your phone vibrating.
Oh, no, I don't know what that noise is. I don't hear
I'm pretty
anything.
sure my vibrate is off, but, that's not important. This boss is,
Yeah,
I don't know, because it's just like, if they had kept it the same way it was, like you said, from the SNES and N64 ones, then it would be, like, I don't know, pretty easy by this game's standards for this point in the game.
Yeah, no, this is definitely the strongest, the toughest this boss has ever been. But look, this time when it spins around, I want you to look closely at the rockets, and you see on the one side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
I see
talking
that.
about. Sorry for interrupting you before. It's just for some reason I got excited when I saw that because I'm like, they actually thought about that.
Yeah. This is actually, I should have moved down. Because, like, when you fight the final boss, it has a similar attack, but it sort of, like, locks the camera in place for you. Maybe a little more automation on that would have been, but, you know.
I like when you crashed into it at the end. It almost made it look like you hitting the ship killed it.
Yeah,
like
almost.
Like the R-Wing is just
I
that
was
much
actually
tougher.
scared that I was going to die there while the cutscene was happening. But
No, I mean,
no.
it looks like because the R-Wing crashed into it, that took it down.
Yeah, kamikaze.
It's funny.
Yeah. So, we have defeated the attack carrier in Sector Omega. But what happened to Venom?
And
You
why
gotta go
is
to
it
Venom.
so much smaller than a planet should be?
Yeah. Where did it go? And that's where the final battle was supposed to be, but now it's not here.
Yeah, that's the strange thing. I've heard some people theorize that this takes place after 64. That it's like, oh, no, this is the bad ending of 64 where you get that decoy as the final boss and the real Andross escapes. And I'm like, that doesn't work, guys, because we've already been to Venom and now they're saying, this is Venom, but it's nothing like the planet we went to. And it's like, I don't get it. So, whatever. This is another reboot. You know, it's a third attempt at the series. Probably gonna get a fourth one someday. Ugh, whatever.
Yeah. Because, like, I kind of realized last night, it's like watching a review of, Link to the Past, and I just sort of realized that Zelda kind of reboots the series almost with every game. Because they're, like, kind of the same characters and kind of the same story, but, you know, like, different times and places, and they're technically not the same people.
Here's the thing. A lot of those take place in the same 2 or 3 timelines, just
There
maybe a
are
couple hundred years
timelines
apart.
now, but that wasn't, for the longest time, there was no such thing, and it was just supposed to be, each game was kind of its own thing, and there was sort of a vague timeline.
Oh,
But,
I gotta say, I like that they throw these entire ships at you at the start of this stage. It's like they want you to know, we're not messing around.
This is actually a nice reference to the SNES game, because, like, in level 3, the third pathway, Corneria is at sundown in that level. So that was a... Because, like, a lot of people are just like, this is just 64 again, but it's not just 64 again. They reference the first 3 games, you know, including Star Fox 2.
Oh, that hit couldn't have gone any more perfectly. Good job. You're getting down your first try. It's probably by accident, but I don't care. It's cool. It's a good hit. One thing I gotta say I like about this stage is you might not notice it past all the blasting and stuff, but this does have a different track than the first time you come through this level. And it sounds a little more somber, a little more like, oh shit, this is serious. Like,
honestly, when I was playing this the first time, I couldn't really even hear the music because of how loud the gamepad was.
And it stinks because, well, even if you have the gamepad turned all the way down, the sounds of everything exploding and being hit by your lasers, as satisfying as they are, still kind of block out the music. And that's why it really kind of upsets me that they don't give you an option to turn down the sound effects just a little bit.
Yeah.
Ah, man. Because the music in this game is pretty darn good. I still think the music in Assault are still like some of the most beautiful mixes of those tunes we'll ever hear. But in terms of the new tracks they've composed for stages like, yes, Corneria or Sector Omega, they're pretty darn great. And they're gonna go kind of underappreciated because people won't hear them, and it's just like another thing that could, like, I don't know, give this game a few more points in people's eyes that'll be overlooked. Whatever.
So do you think that the critical reaction and fan reaction to Star Fox Zero was perhaps even a bit unjustified?
Yes. Very unjustified. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who's played like all 3 Prime games on the Wii, like with the Wiimote, so I'm used to motion controls. I don't see them as something that just can't work. They already do work. It's just that, yeah, it takes a little getting used to. Like, when they first released games like Mario 64, I can tell you there were a lot of people who were nauseated by the game. They just couldn't wrap their heads around the... Oh, I see you're kind of panicking here. You're like, whoa! Oh. It's a pretty exciting scene. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, you know, they get to... They try using a joystick on the Nintendo 64 controller. It's like, oh, no, I don't get it, no. And they retreat to, you know, their side-scrollers that feel good to them at the time. Motion controls are just another transition, another thing that we couldn't expect them to get perfectly right on the first try. Okay, it's not really their first try, but it's like you said in earlier parts. So many people have, like, ruined whatever, you know, motion controls, and Nintendo is the only company that's ever tried to really do anything that good with them.
I'm sure there are a few Kinect games that tried. I just know very little about the Kinect.
Yeah, it's just... I think if a lot more games, at least of this quality, had been released throughout the Wii and the Wii U's lifespan, coming from more, you know, companies than just Nintendo, I think people would be a lot more accepting of motion controls. But because they haven't had that many good experiences with them, you know, like maybe just a Zelda game here and there, they just don't care for it. But, oh well. Yeah. I mean, like, it's like we were talking about, like, yesterday in the podcast. It does suck that for, like, people with shaky hands who really do just have a hard time with that kind of thing, that there isn't an option to turn them off. The problem is this game would suck if you turned off the motion controls. It just wasn't built to be played without them. Everything would be so much harder, especially the upcoming boss fight just after this part ends. The Gigarilla, I think it is a fine, functional boss fight, but if you try to take that thing on the old-fashioned way, you are going to die. Or spend a lot of time trying to get away from the thing, and then you turn around and it's like, oh, I can't hit it.
I don't know what I was trying to do there, but
oh no, you were trying to walk along the top of it like Fox did in that cool intro cutscene where he blew up the Granby all over himself.
I do have to mention though, Nick, that we will not be fighting the boss of the stage until the next episode.
I know. That's why I tried to get my thoughts on it out of my system before the part ends. So you heard my piece about it. I like how they still give you the option to hack into those I don't know, those horse-looking turret robots around the tower.
It's actually my biggest issue with the boss coming up. Is, I don't know, because like the first time I fought it...
Well, okay, look, I'm just gonna say...
Just trying to land in that little flap.
Like, the idea is for you to fly as close to it as you can with your R-Wing, and then
I tried that,
and
it took me like
just try to
6 or 7 attempts.
Gently hover down to it. I mean, I find that the best opportunity to do that sort of thing is when he raises his arms and starts shooting a bunch of missiles out of his back, because he stands perfectly still when he does that. And, here comes the boss.
Yep. We saw this fellow earlier on, I think, the Space Colony level.
By the way, I feel kind of awkward asking for this sort of thing now, but I would really appreciate if you could include a clip of me getting stomped on by this thing.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's how the boss went for me. Well,
yeah.
Thanks for having me aboard for this part. This was fun. Toodles.
Yep.
I tried making a farting noise, but it was just sort of a whatever.
Yep. So this was NickonAquaMagna. He sort of specializes in defending underrated games, and he also, if you like Bionicle, he also likes to talk about that. And there's all sorts of other stuff he looks at too. But he's a really cool, intelligent guy. So I'd suggest checking out his channel and watching some of his videos. I think that if you enjoyed my reviews of the Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Heroes, you might enjoy watching his much longer, more in-depth reviews as well, because he has a lot of interesting things to say about them.
I just realized I have gotten so many mentions and shoutouts in your videos lately. Not just like when we were both reviewing the adventure games, around that time, but also in this playthrough in earlier parts. I'm sure there are a few people who still haven't checked out my channel who are wondering, who the heck is this Nick guy he keeps talking about? Oh yeah, that's me. It's not some other Nick.
Yep. So yeah, definitely go check him out. I'll probably have an annotation up at this moment. So if you're interested, go. I'd say it's worth. What's a good video you think people should go look at if they want to check out your channel?
Oh jeez.
Just to get a taste,
Maybe the beginning of the Sonic Adventure Riri, or I don't know.
All right. So I'll link to that video right here. You guys can go watch that if you're up for it. And yeah, so
Yay!
In the next episode of this playthrough, I'll be having another guest on. He is another member of the Unversed cast, who has. So if you're getting tired of all the because the last couple guests I've had on both enjoyed the game. If you're tired of that, well, don't worry. Starting in the next episode, I'll be having 2 guests on back-to-back who did not like the game, so we'll be hearing more from that point of view as well.
And on one last note, I will be reviewing this game myself. I think we'll both be reviewing this game at some point. Mine won't come for a while. That's why it was a good chance for us both to get our thoughts out here and in yesterday's podcast. But when I review this game, I'm going to have to work really hard on the script not to repeat myself, because I looked back at the last part of my Sonic Riri yesterday, and my word, so many of the things that I said in that are basically the exact things that I'm saying about Star Fox Zero now. So it's basically going to be the same video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's I know, the longer I do this and the more I play games, the more I realize that just at some point, you've just got to sort of let yourself enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Because it used to be that especially when I was 17 or 16, around that age, I was very nitpicky and I let the smallest things bug me. And now looking back, it's now that I just sort of let things slide, I enjoy myself playing games so much more now.
We were all like that once, and I think it's a transition that some of us go through. Some of us make it to that point where we can just enjoy games even if they're really flawed, but some people don't, and they just end up making themselves miserable. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for having me aboard for this part. Sorry I talked so much. That's just kind of a problem I have, I guess. But yeah. Yep. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Yep. So I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Woo!